everyone. Welcome to Infamous NFL. We're going to be covering the draft that took place the past few nights. We're going to go through every team, see what they did right, see what they did wrong. And yet again, we are not experts. We're just going to kind of go through it kind of quickly for each team. I am joined once again by my illustrious co-host, Kyle, of
Yes,
course.
sir.
Yep. So without
Yep.
further ado, let's get into our first team here on the board. We have the Houston Texans. They needed everything. They got a lot. Stingley, number three. Were you kind of shocked that he went this
Terrible
high?
draft. No,
Terrible draft.
I,
Started off hot.
it was interesting. I personally, I didn't think they would take Stingley that high, but
Mm-hmm.
he's someone that has the ceiling of being just a really good player. So, I mean, I could see why they did it.
Yeah.
Personally, with some of the players on the board, I probably wouldn't have, but not a bad pick.
Yeah, I mean, this team's terrible, so they could have used anything at number 3, 15, whatever. But, I mean, Stingley, he has a lot of potential. He's coming off an injury in a season he didn't play during COVID. But when he did play in his freshman year, he was an absolute stud. So they're just hoping he can play something close to that. And hopefully he reaches his potential. Then number 15, they try to beef up that O line. A pretty boring pick for most people, but you need the trenches on beach side. Big guard,
You,
big boy. You like him?
you gotta get some dogs,
Get some dogs. He's a
I
dog.
don't know how much of a dog Green is, but you got to get some dogs in the
Mm-hmm.
trenches. You got to pick some people. It is kind of high for an inside interior O lineman, but if he was projected to be one or two
Right.
at that spot, so I
Yeah.
mean it's not bad. Can't complain about it.
Yeah, he's a big, mean green machine. We'll see what he does down there in the trenches. And their first pick in the second round, they got Jalen Petrie. Are you familiar with this safety out of the University of Baylor?
I'm not the most familiar with him. I've heard he's pretty good,
Yeah, they needed a
but
safety, so getting one there is
that's
obviously
about it.
big.
I will say their next pick, John Mechie, I like that a lot. I think he's someone that could really turn into something, in my personal opinion. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he got injured, right? Or is that in the
that was
Jameson
Jameson.
Williams? Did Mechie not
Unless
get
I
injured
was
too? I
my
think. I
mind,
think they
was
both got
it?
injured.
I think Mechie may have at the end of the year.
I think one of them got injured the national championship game, and one got injured in the Michigan game.
Yeah, Mechie got injured in the national
Or
championship game,
yeah.
unless I'm losing my mind here,
Well, all that
which I
matters
hope
is they're
I'm
both
not.
injured. How bad was Mitch's injury? I don't know. Will he be back in time for the season? Maybe. I think so. I think he was above schedule already doing like shit, so we'll see. And then they got a Bama boy. He loved that running back. I mean, all the running backs they had were like old and washed and shit. So getting another running back in there doesn't hurt. I'm assuming.
Now I feel like we're really tripping, and Mechie was the one that got injured, and oh God.
I think one got
Uh,
injured in the SEC title game and one got injured in the Natty.
I don't know how I've forgotten all of this though. It's just like things leave my brain sometimes, and I
Mm-hmm.
gotta wonder. I
Well,
mean, I do take in a lot of sports, but
yeah, I just know they're both not playing in that game.
no, you know what?
Okay,
It was
you got
definitely
this.
Mechie that played this full year and then got injured in the national championship. It was Williams that was the one that got injured at the beginning of the year.
I think Williams got injured in the SEC title game. So he
I think you're an idiot.
no. Okay, look it up. Well, I'll go to the next team while you do that. I'll wait. All right, going off in the Texans. I mean Thomas Booker, the other guy. I mean great late round draft picks. We'll see. Okay, moving on to the Cards. The first pick, they didn't have a first round pick. They get Trey McBride. We'll see what was number one tight end in this draft. He'll be playing behind Ertz most of the time probably, but a good second string, good production. I give Kyler another weapon. Love that. Cameron Thomas, big defensive end out of San Diego State, an absolute dog down there in the trenches. Need that. Get a good pass rush after Chandler Jones left, so they get back-to-back defensive ends with Sanders also out of Cincinnati. So get two dogs on each side, one on the side of J.J. Watt, and some depth at that position. That's nice. And then with their sixth-round picks, they didn't have any fourth or fifths. They got Keontae Ingram from USC and Lectius Smith out of Virginia Tech, an offensive guard and a running back. Who's the running backs? It's the the boys. Oh God, I'm choking balls.
I would help you here.
Kyle, fuck.
I'm just really confused because now from what I'm seeing, they both played in 2021 for the majority of the year,
That's what I
which has
said. It
really
just,
thrown me through a
that's
loop.
what I said. I'm not trying to say I was right, but I'm not trying to say I was wrong either. Keontae Ingram, running back. James Conner, the other guy. That's great. All right. Take a nice
Who
swig of
was
water
injured
there.
on Bama this year? Am I losing
You
my
are losing your
mind?
mind.
Am I mentally not
Unless they had
here?
a
Like,
third
what is?
receiver that I'm not thinking of. They
Am
both
I
played a
checked
majority of the
out right
year.
now?
It sounds like it. I mean,
Am I
I'll give you
like?
some time to think of the reminisce.
I don't know if I'm
Hmm.
gonna be the same for the rest of this
Okay,
episode. Like, I don't. I'm just. I'm shell shocked.
it's okay. I mean, you got it. I mean, moving on to the Ravens, the Cards. I mean, yeah, they did some things, shoring up some positions that needed some fillings. Good for them. The Ravens, one of the best drafts in this whole entire thing. They get Kyle Hamilton, in my opinion, one of the top players in this draft, but just wasn't going to get drafted super high because he's a safety and it's not a super important position out of all of the ones you could draft. Tyler Linderbaum, end of the first, probably the best interior lineman in the draft. Big center, need that. David Ajobo, who's probably going to not play the first year, I would assume, and if he does, it'll be towards the end. He could be an absolute dog coming off that line. Same with Travis Jones in the middle. And I mean, they had like 6,000 draft picks, so going through each one's a bit of a stretch. But two tight ends behind Andrews. I mean, is there anything else here that looks
Um.
appealing to you, to the
Yeah.
naked
I
eye?
mean, I just like their class a lot. I really like the David Ajabo taking a shot on him.
Mm-hmm.
Linderbaum, one of the best players in the draft. Hamilton, one of the best players in the draft. Just a good overall draft. I mean, they took players that it should just are gonna hit and be
Yeah,
good.
the Ravens just draft well.
Pretty
That's what they do.
typical Raven fashion. Yeah.
Moving on to the Bills now. They get Elam in the first round pick. Their secondary was pretty dreadful last year, so shoring that up is nice. Getting James Cook at running back. Singletary and
Interesting.
Moss, haven't worked out the best for them, I'd say. And then, is there anything else? They got the punter, an absolute cannon on the San Diego State kid there. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another receiver.
Just just interesting from them more than anything.
Yeah,
Khalil Shakir could be a decent player, maybe.
yeah, to
Someone
replace
that I've heard
Tyrone
some
Beasley.
rumblings about.
Yeah, but, not bad. There's contenders. Hopefully these guys will help them, get to the next level. We'll see. Then the Panthers, they had the number 8-6 pick. They get Akeem Akwanu out of NC State.
Icky.
Most people's either two or three, I'd say, linemen in this draft. Some people's ones, maybe. I don't know. Then Matt
Either
Corral.
two or one.
Yeah, and then Matt
Most
Corral
people had
is a
Icky
stud.
or Evan Neal as their one or two.
Yeah, then
I don't think
Cross.
Matt
People
Charles
have
Cross them usually.
Cross in there somewhere in the mix, and they got Matt Corral. I mean, I think he could start now over Sam Darnold be better. I think Sam Darnold's absolute trash, but what do I know?
Well, Matt Corral is someone that's a little more of a slight bit of a project. He's not going to be someone that you can really start off week one. So maybe he can come in later in the year
Yeah,
and be that guy. But
that's what they'll
yeah, I
do
mean,
probably, but I don't know. We'll see.
it's just like he came from an offense and like just it's just a lot different. He's someone that's going to probably take a little bit of time to be ready.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll sit him. They'll try to throw Darnold's sorry ass out there, and they'll lose a bunch of games and be like so confused how they suck, and it'll just be a repeat until they get a quarterback who's worth a damn. We'll see when that happens. Other draft picks, I mean, a guard, a cornerback, some linebackers.
Yeah,
We'll
I don't
see.
know a lot about the other picks. I know that I know Brandon Smith and I know a bare amount about Barno, but yeah, I mean I like taking the shot on the QB at the end of the third round. It's not bad, and I
Hmm.
feel like Icky was just great for them that he fell to them.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the Bears, who had a bunch of picks. No first though. They had 2 seconds close to each other. They get some help in the secondary with Kyler Gordon at a cornerback and Jaquan Brisker at safety to help that side of the ball. Nice receiver in there. Is there anything in here that looks that really sticks out like a sore
Uh,
thumb?
I like the first two picks. I like Gordon and Brisker. Definitely could
Mm-hmm.
help out the secondary there.
Yeah.
And the rest, yeah. I don't know a whole lot about most of the other guys they took. I believe Jones out of Tennessee is he's a fast receiver, quick guy, could maybe be a return man and be a bit of a deep threat or slot guy. I don't know. I don't know a lot about him. I believe he's a quick guy.
I mean,
So
they desperately needed wide receiver help. They got rid of Robinson. They just have Mooney right now. So, and I would
yeah,
honestly like to see
and
more draft more than one receiver. But I mean, hopefully that guy's a stud.
speed never hurts. Take a shot on. So if he is as fast as what I've been hearing, then
Hmm.
yeah,
We'll see.
could be good.
We will see. Moving on to the Bengals. Not a lot of picks. They had one at the end of the first, Daxton Hill. They picked three safeties actually. We'll see how that works. Maybe move one to corner or something. They trying to get another offensive lineman to shore that up, which was terrible last year, and then some big fellas on the defensive line. Do you know anything about these guys? Any of these safeties, or just trying to fill some
No,
needs?
Daxton Hill is someone that a lot of people really like. They think I think a lot of people have him as one of the better players in the draft. So
Hmm.
that's like one thing that pushes up their class is the fact that they got Daxton Hill. He could be someone that's really good for them. Probably the or potentially the Jesse Bates replacement eventually. They
Yeah.
want to stick with him or not because they did draft two safeties. So
Yeah. I
it's
mean, they drafted
interesting.
three of them things. They got
Or
one in the
yeah,
fifth
three.
round.
I wasn't even looking at Tycene
Yeah.
Anderson.
I'm sure they'll try to move one of those guys to corner. I mean, you can't have three safeties, I would assume, but we'll see. Seeing as they
And
need
yeah,
quarterback help.
the add on to Velus Jones Jr. He ran a
Oh
4.31,
boy.
so he is quite the quick guy. But
Almost
yeah,
doubled about Fields.
this draft, I don't know much about the end of their draft,
I mean,
or
Jeffrey
really the
Gunter
middle, to
has a
be
sick name.
honest.
I like the name right there, Jeffrey Gunter. I like that a lot.
Haven't heard too much about Cam Taylor Britt, other than that he is solid, but haven't really heard what he does exactly and what like he brings. So
Yeah.
really, all they got for this one is that Daxton Hill is supposed to be a really solid player.
I mean, they're a stacked
And
team, just getting more stacked. We'll see
yeah,
how it works.
adding Daxton Hill to the defense could be a big plus.
Yeah.
So,
Moving on to the Browns. They didn't have any picks in the first two rounds. They had three in the third, though. They get Martin Emerson, a cornerback, Alex Wright out of the University of Birmingham Blazers, and David Bell out of Purdue, another receiver. And other than that, I mean, don't know a lot about these guys. Do you know? I mean, Perion Winfrey, didn't he fall
yeah,
quite far?
Perion Winfrey is someone that could be a good player for them eventually. David Bell is somebody that uh, he's interesting because I believe he tested pretty bad speed wise. He's a slow guy, but he has really good hands. So
Mm-hmm.
he maybe took him a little high. I think people did like him, but it's just like I don't think he tested well athletically. So it'll be interesting to see how he translates.
Yeah,
And yeah, the other guys don't know a whole lot about. Like I said, though, I do like Perion Winfrey from what I've heard about him. This
yeah.
could be a good, solid defensive tackle. So
They needed some help on the D line, so they got that with him. Needed another receiver after losing Landry, so they got David Bell. I don't know if they have any real deep threats on the Browns that I'm not thinking of. I mean, Amari's not really a deep threat. I don't think David Bell is going to be that for them, but just
yeah,
reliable targets, maybe.
yeah, David Bell, I believe, is supposed to be more of just a reliable guy.
Yeah.
On their team currently, what are they even running with as receivers? They got Donovan Peoples-Jones. Is that their deep threat?
Could be. They have Higgins, I think. He's lengthy, tall, fast. And
Yeah,
Amari's like a great route runner, but he's not like a deep threat. I mean, we'll see. Maybe one of those guys will get better without Landry being there. I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna move on though to the Cowboys, who I did think have the greatest draft of all time. I mean, Tyler Smith in the first round, who had what character issues, penalty issues. He's just like a big project for them, I guess. But they definitely needed an offensive lineman, so I just don't know if that's the one they
yeah,
take there.
he is someone with a lot of potential though, but it's just weird because for the Cowboys should be taking somebody that can just slot into their O line right now. Like, but he's not really that guy. He's not someone that is fundamentally like there yet to be like a starter in the NFL. But he's someone with like a high ceiling, just like a not the best floor.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a weird pick for them. That's like he was someone that was supposed to go around the first round, maybe early second, but I
Yeah.
just it doesn't seem like the best fit to me.
I don't get the Cowboys draft really at all because they're drafting a bunch of people that are like high boom potential, but it's like they're a team that's like we're trying to win now, so why would just draft people that you know are like reliable and like gonna start right away in these projects? I mean, they'll be good if they work out, but I would have drafted more people that would start right away and like win now. But I don't know. We'll see. I guess.
I mean, I get it because like you wanna hit. Like I mean, they did the same thing last year when they took Micah Parsons. He wasn't like a sure thing. Like he was gonna be like he was that big boomer bust guy for that high in the draft. Obviously, it's a little less like bust at that kind of
Hmm.
at around 10th in the draft. But I mean, he was someone that had the ceiling to be super good as he showed, and
Right.
I mean, it worked for them last year. One thing also about the Cowboys is Sam Williams apparently has some pretty bad potential character
Oof.
issues slash flaws, like really bad from what I've heard. I don't know the exact
Hmm.
details, but
Like, is he killing people? Is he?
well, I don't know if
What are
it's
we
quite
doing
that
over there?
far. But
Okay.
I've heard allegations. There were some allegations, and he wasn't guilty maybe, but just definitely some red flags that he may have, and that's
Hmm.
just the Cowboys memo. It seems at this point they like to take their high talent, character flawed players.
Yeah, it seems like it. Then we're
Because
right back to the
yeah,
well this
Sam
year.
Williams is someone with a lot of talent as a football player.
Hmm. Well, we'll see how it works. We're gonna move on though to the Broncos, who stacked their team this offseason, try to get better in the draft. Their first pick was at the end of the second round. Nick Benito, a linebacker out of Oklahoma, high potential, great player, absolute stud. Other than that though, I'd be lying if I told you much about these other players. I like some of the names. I really do like the guy from Iowa State, Ayoma Uwazurike. I mean, just off name value alone, I could see that guy being a stud. But other than that, not a lot
Yeah,
from me.
who was yeah, no, that's a name. I
I
mean it
like that
is.
name a lot.
Yeah, I don't know too much about who they got here. If I'm being honest with you
Yeah,
either.
I mean they needed a tight end. They got
So
that in the
I
second,
mean I
third
know
round.
Nick
So
Benito was I think they got good value on him. Maybe he may have fell a little bit, fell right to them. So
yeah,
other than that, I don't know much about the other guys.
I mean their team's stacked. They don't need a lot. So just move on. Lions. They get the number two pick. They get Aiden Hutchinson. I think a lot of people was just overall best player in the draft. And then at 12, they trade up from 32 to get Jamison Williams. A lot of people's wide receiver one in the draft. And, I mean, they got some safety help in the back, a tight end. You like these drafts they got, these picks they got here?
Yeah, I like personally Aiden Hutchinson was my number two DN, but I like keeping the Michigan guy in Michigan, and
Mm-hmm.
just a good like he's someone with a high floor, like someone just that's gonna be good for you. And the Detroit needs players that are just gonna be good.
They just need good in
And
general.
I
Yeah.
do I personally I like Jameson Williams a lot, so I like that they traded up for him to go get him because that's someone that could be really good for them. And they don't really got a lot of receiver, so
I mean, yeah, their
definitely
team's
something
tore
that they
shit.
addressed there.
So anything would help this team. I think they,
I've also
did
heard
well.
that Kirby Joseph is someone that could be an undervalued safety, and Malcolm Rodriguez did fall a lot in the draft. He was someone that was probably supposed to go a little higher that fell down in the draft, and they're getting potentially another good shot at someone like him. So I like what they did.
Well, we'll see. The Lions have been poverty for years and years. Will they continue to be poverty? Probably, but this is taking the right step. Moving on to the best team in this division for the past 10 years, we got the Packers. They get two Georgia dogs, absolute dogs in the first round, Quay Walker and Wyatt. Then they get an absolute freak out of North Dakota, Christian Watson, nice guard out of UCLA, Sean Ryan. Other than that, don't know a lot, but I mean, the tip picks they did get the top, I think, are really, really good.
Yeah, I love their draft. I like getting Clay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. Wyatt is someone that it could be like really good. He can do a lot of things on the D line. He's more than just like a just your typical inside guy. Like he can kind of do a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
Christian Watson, freak athlete, someone that could maybe if he and Aaron Rodgers can make a good connection, he could be someone that is really good with the athleticism he has.
Yeah,
And also Romeo Dubs is another just solid receiver. He fell a bit. They
it's a
picked him
cool
up.
ass name too.
Yeah, it's a fire
Romeo
name.
Dubs.
And
God.
someone else I do know that is someone that I did know a little later in the draft, Rashid Walker, who's a high ceiling kind of guy. So I like taking him in the seventh, just getting someone that could be really good for you potentially in the future. Build him up.
Yeah, it's a good draft. They replaced people that left in the offseason with players like Quay Walker,
Oh, I didn't even see that
Watson.
they got Kingsley too. That's another solid pick that could be someone that's good for them.
Yeah, they did really good in the draft. We'll see. Moving on though to the Falcons. They pick London at 8. They get Arnold Ebikidi in the second round. Someone who has a lot of potential. Troy Anderson, who's a freak athlete, of course, out of Montana State. Played like 3 positions, 4 positions in college. So I like that pick. They get Ritter, obviously, the second quarterback off the board, to probably replace Mariota after either this year or soon. I don't know. We'll see. But how do you feel about the old Falcons here?
Yeah, it's an interesting draft. I don't hate it. I feel like taking London was a bit of an interesting pick. I don't know if he like is necessarily the best fit for what they got at receiver because he kind of is like Kyle Pitts in a way. He's a big target that you can get the ball to. I don't know if he's going to be someone that plays the outside at an exceptional rate that will stretch the field for you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would have made more sense for them to go for like Garrett Wilson or Jameson Williams, but
That's what I thought.
obviously he's going to be a solid player. I mean, he's someone that a lot of people like, so he shouldn't be bad at the end of the day. Got someone else that you can just Mariota can feed the ball to.
Yeah.
I do like Arnold and Troy Anderson, freak athlete. There's a million freak athletes in this draft. One of the like just so many freak athletes in this draft, like a
Mm-hmm.
scary amount.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I like taking the shot on a QB at in the third round. I mean, it's just good value.
Yeah. I mean, they needed everything they got or drafted. They needed. I mean, their D line has been horrific. Besides Grady Jarrett, the past few years, so they could try to like shore that up. They need another receiver because their number one would have been Ozide Zacchaeus. No offense to him, but that would have been absolutely horseshit to watch. So they always needed a receiver. They get London, and then it's not bad. I like it a lot. They get a running back because none of God knows they need one currently. They would get the backup Georgia tight end, which is interesting. We'll see how that works, but not bad. Not bad overall. We're gonna move on though to the Colts, who didn't have a first round pick. Their first receiver or their first pick was a receiver out of Cincy. They needed that obviously. They only have Michael Pittman really currently, so anything would have helped in that field. They get a tight end and a bunch of other players I don't know. So that's where I kick it to you,
Yeah.
Kyle. What did they do here?
Yeah. Yeah, Alec Pierce is one of the receivers I knew a little less about, so I can't really speak a whole lot on him.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, Brashad Rainman he's a really good player. He fell a little bit in the draft just due to his age. He will be turning about, I think he's going to be turning 25
Good
before
God.
in his rookie year. So
Okay, that's
I don't know
interesting.
when exactly, but he's someone that could be pretty good. Start right out the gate for them.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, don't know a whole lot about the players they got. I know Nick Cross is someone that could be solid. This was a really good safety draft.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, besides Bashard, Rainman, and Nick Cross, don't know too much about the guys below them.
Well, they got a guy from Yale, which is absolutely sick. I
Yeah, I
love
mean,
my Harvard, Yale people like that going in drafts. That's awesome. A
he'll bring some
Youngstown State
spark to
kid.
the room, some smartness,
That'll need some knowledge. Andrew Ogletree, possibly related to Alec. That'd be a big fucking
maybe.
pick. But yeah, other than that, don't know a lot. It's the Colts. They're usually good at football, so
Is Youngstown State a smart school? I don't know. What is Youngstown State?
I don't know shit about that school. I know it's D2, and I know they're not very good at sports. So
Yeah, no, yeah.
besides that, don't know much about them. But moving on to the Jags, the number one pick in the draft, Travon Walker, I think is one of the wildest first round picks in a while, seeing as he's just a big potential guy who's a freak. But I mean, they get Devin Lloyd at the end of the first round. A lot of people's number one linebacker, Luke Fortner, a guy who's going to start at center right away or guard, whatever they want to play him at. And then another linebacker, Snoop Connor, who has one of the coolest names in the draft, and a couple cornerbacks. What do you think about what they did here? for the good old Jaguars.
Yeah, no, Travon Walker is someone that I mean I could see why they take the shot at him. Personally, I wouldn't have picked him at number one. It would have been my third D end off my third defensive end off the board. But I mean, he is a once in a lifetime kind of athletic freak. I mean, he is just athletically different.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I see why they want to take the shot. And I mean, bare minimum, you're gonna get a really good run defender that can even move out to like a linebacker that can, because he's just so athletic and fast. Like
Yeah.
he's at least gonna give you the ability to be a really good run defender, and they hope to develop his pass rush. But Devin Lloyd, he's cool. I've seen him play, being an Oregon fan, unfortunately.
Right.
Uh, I like him though. I think he has a bit of the dog in him.
You
Someone
need
that
that.
is just a good player in general. And Chad Muma is also another guy that fell a little bit. That was pretty good. Don't know as much about him, but I've heard that he was a solid player that probably should have been picked slightly higher. And it is some people may think it's weird that they pick up those two and they got Olakun from the Falcons. So they got three linebackers, but they all kind of do different things. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean they can all do their own kind of thing for the team and help them in other ways.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean,
don't really see a problem with it.
this team had a bunch of holes. They try to fill most of them. I kind of would have liked to see him take a receiver. I mean, their receiving depth isn't crazy on that team. They give Christian Kirk a wild contract. Other than that, I mean, they don't have a
Yeah, I
whole
mean
lot of upside. But
they got some interesting receivers, but yeah, no, I mean I like them kind of focusing on the defensive draft for the most part and trying to build that up a little bit.
yeah, I mean, this is a team that sucked for many years. Well, they continue to suck probably, but they're taking the right steps. So we'll see how it goes. A team going in the absolute right direction currently, after losing some players, is the Chiefs. They trade up, get McDuffie, and they get George you got that name right? That's you,
Karlaftis.
Karloftis. Okay, nice. And it's Sky Moore, who's an absolute
Yeah.
speedster. I mean, it's
Also,
a
Leo
great draft.
Chanel is someone that a lot of people like. When people talk about the Chiefs, they like to lump in. They got great value on Trent
Hmm.
McDuffie, George Karlaftis, Sky Moore, and Leo Chanel are just they're four players that they just that fell to them and they got them. They traded up for McDuffie and yeah, I mean,
The
just
rich
good
get
players.
richer. Yeah, the team is stacked. They add
Good
these players,
draft.
and
And yeah.
it's gonna get scary, especially if Sky Moore can, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know,
mean they
do anything close
got
to Reek.
Sky Moore could be good for them. I mean that's just a good fit.
It's a good name too.
Yeah.
It's a good receiver name. But yeah, it's a good draft by a good team. Not shocked.
And a good receiver name it can mean more than like most people would assume because that just if you got that
Hmm.
kind of name, you're just more destined to be good.
Right. I mean, the name is like 30% of the battle. If you have a shit name but have the talent, I mean, your talent must be really good because if you don't have the name, it's just not going to work out. Like Sky Moore might
And
not.
it's
He
kind of
doesn't even need
like
to have the talent. He has the name.
having the dog.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can measure it, but it's not something that shows up on the stat sheet necessarily or the
Hmm.
paper or whatever. It's just like the dog can really decide how good a player is.
Right. The dog, the name. I mean,
As the name can have a lot to do with it. I mean, they got another name guy in George Karloftis. I mean, he can't really be
that's a
bad with
dog
the
name
name
too.
George Karloftis on the line. I mean,
I mean, if you have a dog and a name and you mush them together with talent, then you have a fucking absolute Hall of Famer on your hand. But
you got a
that's rare to
stud.
come by. All right, moving on to the Chargers. They only had one first round pick. They get Zion Johnson to protect Herbert, which they desperately needed, and then a whole bunch of players I'm not sure about besides Spiller. I don't know how the running back depth is, but he's gonna be behind Eckler unless he gets injured. But we'll see. Anything here that's sticking out?
I will say the screen has went blurry, so I can't
Okay,
exactly see what's
I got
happening.
you.
But
I got you.
Zion Johnson is just someone that could be considered the best interior offensive lineman in the class. So I mean, solid pick there.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I like Isaiah Spiller. He's all right.
Yeah, I like that. I love the name in the fifth
Can't
round
hate
here.
taking a solid, potentially solid running back.
Yeah, I mean they grow on trees and they fall quickly, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean the running backs they're come plenty to come by, but we'll see. But the fifth round guy they got, Otito Ogbonnia. I mean that is a fucking name right there. An absolute star in the making, if I say so myself. Jasir Taylor too. I like the names they got in the lower half of the draft, and a fullback. Wow. I mean, hey, they're doing big things in LA. We'll see. Xander Horvath, a fullback. I mean, you don't see that often. All right, moving on. Rams. They basically had no top 3 round picks. They have a late third, and they get at guard Logan Bruss.
Oh, just to absolutely cut you off real quick,
Okay.
I did just pull it up on my side. They also got the Chargers also did get Jamar Salyer, who's someone that from Georgia that a lot of people liked. The rest not exactly familiar with. Once
Hmm.
again, another safety. I heard that some good things about JT
JT
Woods.
Woods. It's a good name too.
But yeah, Jamar Sawyer was a solid pick, and yeah, everything else was said about them.
All right, we'll see.
Moving back to our good
To our
old
Rams.
Rams.
Well, since they didn't have any top picks, I don't know much about any of these players. Russ Yeast is a good name. I like that. The safety.
Not gonna
Um,
say there's a player they picked. There's two players they picked that I know a little bit about, which would be
okay,
Kyron Williams out of Notre Dame and Darion Kendrick out of Georgia. So
that's
that's about
good.
all I got for them.
All right, well,
I'm
Super
being
Bowl
honest with
contenders,
you.
they don't need draft. They don't care about draft picks. So why should I care about who they drafted? All right,
Fair point.
the Raiders.
It is.
They get Parham out of Memphis at guard. Zamir White, a good old Georgia running back. And then a bunch of players I don't know.
And I hate to be that guy, but I
Hmm.
know less about the players the Raiders drafted than I do about the players that the Rams drafted.
Well, I got this. Zamir White, an
So,
absolute
you
stud.
know,
Nicknamed Zeus. Comes out of the University of Georgia. He's an absolute flair on the field. He can do a lot of things that a lot of players can't do. He's a great catcher in the open traffic. He's in his burn a lot of secondaries if you can get to that second level.
he's explosive.
He's
He
got some
is.
explosiveness. He doesn't have great vision. He does have a bit of a problem with that. But we'll see if he can develop that when he gets into training camp and moves towards the league. He's not going to be getting asked to do a lot right away, seeing as they didn't pick up Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option. Looks like this might be the running back of the future. And there's the Raiders. All right, the
Did
Dolphins.
you like their blue blood running backs?
Yes, they do. And is he going to replace Jacobs? It's looking somewhat likely. But yes, the Dolphins had the least amount of picks. They get a receiver with an absolute fire name, and Channing Tindall, who I think people actually were high on, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna once again,
Okay,
I don't know a lot about these players. I do know that they got Verone McKinley the third, an undrafted
Oregon,
undrafted guy out of Oregon,
yep,
an absolute ball hawk. They called him the General
the
at
general.
Oregon.
That's a cool.
He was
That's
a
a cool
pick
nickname.
machine.
Okay,
Yeah, he played a great game against Ohio State when Oregon beat them this year.
right. Okay,
Yeah,
it's a good stat.
that's about all I got for them.
Well, they
I'm
got
being
a
honest with you.
quarterback. I mean, that's cool. You don't see many of those get drafted. And late. I mean, Skylar Thompson. What's he gonna do? Be like a four string? Probably be in the XFL in 2 years. I mean, who knows? We'll see where his career goes.
Yeah, a lot of the QBs drafted at the end of the draft were ones that were just kind of interesting players, from what
Yeah,
I've heard of some players that maybe people didn't expect to get drafted
very interesting. But we're gonna move on to the
over
Vikings,
some of the other ones that didn't.
who I
So
think
yeah,
had a really solid draft. Their defense and secondary, especially, was terrible. They addressed that with the first two picks for Louis Sign and Andrew Booth, who I like. They get another offensive lineman, Ed Ingram, Awesome Law with a sick name. Is there anything you like from the Vikings camp here?
I'm not quite in the same boat as you with them having an awesome draft. I mean, I do like Louis Sign and Andrew Booth a lot, but I believe they were like one of the only teams ever to trade back in the draft and end up with like negative value and like the whole like overall trade,
It's
which
definitely
just
not good.
doesn't happen when you trade back in the draft. You usually are acquiring like more value,
You're
so
right.
that's kind of interesting. They did trade out of a very high position too,
Yeah.
and also I think I don't know if I'm 100% here, but I'm pretty sure I've been hearing that Brian Asamoah is someone that maybe a little bit overrated by some people,
Hmm.
and a few of the other people that the Vikings got maybe like Ed Ingram potentially. So
Well, we're gonna
yeah,
find out.
I don't know a lot about Ed Ingram, but and
Ed.
the other guys besides Brian Asamoah and Booth and Sign.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like that. I feel like they could have just found a different way to get to the end of the first to maybe get their guy in Louis sign, and they could have picked a stud.
There's a
They
chance.
also did like we are talking like they traded their pick to an in division opponent who drafted potentially the best receiver in the draft. I mean that's just and they did it for negative value potentially. I don't
Yeah,
remember the exact
they're
trade, but I remember not liking it and other people not enjoying it either. And I mean, you just don't want to give an in division opponent potentially one of the best receivers on the board or in the draft. So that's just kind of odd to me.
yeah. I mean, their offense was good. Their quarterback is a fraud, and they need defense, which was terrible. 30th ranked, I think, last year. So if any of their defensive players that they drafted can be studs,
Yeah, and
I think you'd see them
I'm
taking a
not
big
knocking
leap.
Louis Sign and Andrew Booth. I do really, I think they're both good players. It's just like I don't like the way they went about getting Louis Sign necessarily, and just the draft capital they how they used it.
Yeah, it's not about how you start; it's about how you finish. So we'll see how it works. Maybe it'll be a big flop. Maybe it'll be something that looks decent. I don't know. We'll see. Moving on to the Patriots, who just do weird shit just to do weird shit. They get
Yeah,
Cole
I
Strange. I
mean,
mean, I don't know. I don't get it.
Patriots are hard to even necessarily grade because who knows what Bill has up his sleeve with some of these guys.
Hmm.
He could be pulling one on us. He could have us fooled. You never know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I
mean, I
mean,
don't know.
I knew about Cole Strange and like, but yeah, I
He
knew
wears a
a
cool
little bit
helmet.
about Jack Jones. He was a Pac-12 guy, and the rest of their guys, they just were all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, they get Cole Strange, who they could have got in the second round. They get Tyquan Thornton, who could they got in the third round. I mean, it just keeps going down and down and down. Then they get a quarterback, which, I mean, unless I color me crazy, I could have swore they drafted a white boy last year who's an absolute, been a stud for them. I mean, they got a backup quarterback in the fourth round, I guess. I mean, I'm not a Brian Hoyer fan either, but I mean, Jesus Christ, we're using a fourth round at quarterback. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of
And if I
most of the things they
remember
did.
correctly, that's one of the QBs that most people didn't think would be drafted. I don't know for sure on that one.
It's the
Definitely wasn't
sweaty
high up
white
there
guy.
on people
I don't know.
boards, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
He set a bunch of records at Western Kentucky. I mean, that's cool.
Good for, I like my Hilltoppers.
Yeah, I mean, who gives a shit? I mean, the Patriots do weird
Well,
stuff.
I
I'm
mean,
sure
I
it'll
give a
work.
shit about the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
No, I do too. I love them. They play in the what conference?
A good one.
See, I mean, what the. All right, moving on. The Saints. People thought they might take a quarterback. They said no, sir. They're all shit. They move up. They get Chris Olave. They get an offensive tackle to replace Taron Armstead, Trevor Penning, and their last three picks. I'm not sure about anything else from the Saints who didn't do a lot.
Not too much. I mean, Penning's cool. Olave, they may have been able to just sit at 16 and get him there, to be honest. But
Yeah, they got spooked
they
by the run
traded
off the
up. They
board.
got their guy. Yeah. Not
We'll
bad.
see. They get the
Secondary was pretty deep in this draft, so
yeah.
Monte Taylor is cool.
We'll see. I mean, they paired up the Ohio State wide receivers with Michael Thomas, who plays football still apparently, along with Olave. We'll see how it works. I don't know. It's just not a lot to go off. They traded up. They got Olave. We'll see how good he is. Moving on though, Giants, who had a boatload of picks, two in the top 10. They get Thibodeau, number 5, Evan Neal at 7. A lot of people think they reached for the receiver they got in the second round, Wardell Robinson, and yeah, a whole lot more.
Yeah, Wandale Robinson is interesting because he probably went a little earlier than most people would expect, but he's somebody that like he it's weird a lot too because like he's someone that a lot of people considered kind of like a solid receiver, but he's like very similar to Kadarius Toney, which kind of does
Yeah,
point to them potentially trading him, even though I do believe the Giants did come out and say they didn't want to trade him.
the Giants are
So
shit.
it's weird that they kind of drafted a guy that is very similar to him, like gadget kind of guy. So yeah, I also really want to emphasize that I love their top two picks. In my
Hmm.
opinion, those were my top two on the board. going into the draft. Those were my one and two.
Right.
Maybe Hutchinson's in there, but I they got one of my top edges and my top tackle, which
Which
doesn't
is
mean a
good.
lot because it's not like I am completely studying every player, but I get most of my draft opinions from people that I watch a decent amount of draft content, look a little
Mm,
bit at some stuff myself, but
right.
I like Neal and Thibodeau a lot, and if you would have told any team in the league that they were getting Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau 5 months ago, even 3 months ago, that they would be it would be crazy. These two players are projected to go number one for a decent amount of the year coming up until a little later when the draft was getting close and almost everyone was projected to go number one in the top six at some point
Yeah. I mean, it's
or
good.
top seven, I guess, because Neil went. So yeah, but yeah, uh, I really like their draft. Middle was a little shaky. Some solid players, some interesting picks.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, they are the Giants. They've been poverty. Haven't had a 2-0 start to a season in like 9 years or something really cool like that. So they've been just absolute dog shit. They're the one of the most poverty teams. Bad ownership, bad all around. But they're trying to rebuild that with their top two picks here. Will it work?
Jesus,
We'll see.
just absolutely went in on them for
They're trash. Well,
some.
or
Okay,
Kyle. All right. Moving on to the Jets. They get two top 10 picks. Sauce Gardner, he was cornerback one, who didn't go number one because the Texans wanted to be cutesy and get Derek Stingley at three. And they get the absolute speedster, some people's wide receiver one, Garrett Wilson. Jermaine Johnson fell a shit ton to 26. They traded to get him. They needed a running back desperately, and they get the number one in a lot of people's eyes as well in that. So, I'd say the Jets had a very excellent draft.
yeah, no, I love the Jets draft. And one more thing to touch on the Giants before we completely move on
Okay,
is
I'll go back.
I also did hear that the Giants they
Mm-hmm.
had in their interview with Kayvon Thibodeau. I think
Right.
they leaked a report that they had the worst interview ever with like they leaked a report that a team had the worst interview ever with
Okay.
Kayvon Thibodeau that they have ever had in draft history because they wanted them to fall to him, which is something that's interesting and they got their guy, so that's cool.
That's pretty
But going back to
interesting.
the Jets,
Okay.
I love their drafts. Sauce Gardner is someone that I personally was hoping could fall to the Seahawks. I'm very happy with Charles Cross, though. We'll get to
Mm-hmm.
them later. Uh, the Garrett Wilson could be receiver one in the class. Good player. Jermaine Johnson, someone that I would have also been happy if the Seahawks took at 10, which is kind of crazy considering he fell all the way to 26.
Yeah.
Apparently, some of that may have had to do with what's it called, character concern or something
Well,
along those
Thibodeau went
lines.
five, so I mean, there's no. I
Yeah,
mean,
but I feel like his character concern was just dumb.
people say
I
he
don't
doesn't care
know,
about football, but I
which is
mean, as
just
long
kind
as
of
he's getting his
crazy. I
money,
mean,
I mean, why does he
yeah,
have to
yeah,
care?
I don't know. Yeah, we don't even need to get into all that because I
Okay.
mean, that's just weird. I never saw any character concern watching him throughout my time watching him at Oregon football. I did say watching him about 4 times right there, but that's all
It's all
good.
good. Good to work
Yeah,
though.
Jets like the top three, like Bryce Hall, potentially the best running back. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
add him to Michael Carter. Maybe you got a good running back duo there.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jeremy Ruckert, because someone that I think people like as a tight end because he's someone that can block, I believe, and has potential to be a good receiver. So
Yeah. I mean, they've also they're on the Giants' boat, poverty. I'm not a big Zach Wilson guy myself, so if he doesn't really pan out, none of this will matter. But we'll see. Maybe this will take them in the right direction, but I still think they'll be one of the worst teams in the league. But you know, it's a good step in the right direction for the good old Jets, Jets. Moving on though to the Eagles, who had a big day one. They get an absolute freak show in Jordan Davis, who stands at I think at 7'4", about 480 on the D line. Um,
runs a 4.2 5
runs a
flat.
4.25 flat, can bench 600 pounds.
Did a
Um,
5 second three cone drill.
yes, he broke every analytical record at the combine, so that's a good pick there. And then they get Jurgens in the second round, someone to probably replace Kelsey, who's getting up there in the age. And then they get a lot of people steal the draft, maybe. I mean, the Kobe Dean's a bit of a small guy, So that's probably why he fell over most people, and he had some other issues like injuries. I think that he wasn't going to get fixed.
Yeah,
So
potential injury problems.
yeah,
Has an injury that he I can't remember what it is
I think
now,
it's like a
but it
pec or
was
something like
something
a.
like torn pec or something that he just wanted to do physical therapy on instead of get surgery. Uh, yeah, he has a dog in him though. He could be someone that ends up being a steal. A lot of people steal the draft, as you said. I've actually seen a
Hmm.
few people call him that, but Cam Jorgens, someone that's good that fell, just like a solid offensive lineman that should be good for them. Jordan
Yeah,
Davis,
freak
freak,
monster.
as we've said multiple times. For some reason, this draft was just filled with them.
Yeah, I mean Georgia's defense is just was full of them. They all got drafted. I mean it was a great year for the Georgia Bulldogs. Great day for the Eagles. They get AJ Brown. We'll get to that more later. But moving on to the Steelers draft, they picked the first quarterback in the draft, Kenny Pickett at number 20. I mean, I wasn't big on any of the quarterbacks really, but he's probably the most NFL ready. He'll probably be starting week one. I'm sure he'll beat out Trubisky, and if he doesn't, there'll be a riot. I'm sure. But I mean, not bad. They get Pickens, who had injury problems in college, but has a lot of potential, and everyone else looks good to me.
Yeah, Pickens was that kind of guy. Like that was he's someone that at that kind of range could still potentially end up being a number one receiver for you eventually, which is not something you're gonna find too often. So that's
Hmm.
uh that's solid. They also did get Calvin Austin, who slipped down the board quite a bit, who's
That's a
someone that a lot
speedster
of
name,
people
right?
liked.
He's got to run like a four
Uh,
three flat. That's just the name of
I
someone like fast. I think that every time you're a third or a second, I feel like you're just automatically like run a 4-2 flat. But
I believe he's
maybe I'm
pretty
wrong.
quick. I don't know his exact numbers off the top of my head.
It's all right. I was
The
asked too
Marvin
much.
Wheel is someone that that's also
Hmm.
another player that people like. So yeah, I like what they did. I maybe they could have got Kenny Pickett a little later, but there were teams like the Panthers that were potentially interested in him. So
Hmm.
take your guy at 20, take some nice picks behind him, and I don't mind the draft at all. They did
Yeah,
take another QB too, which is interesting. A good old
very
South
interesting.
Dakota State guy, got it. South Dakota State, North Dakota State, just the pipeline to D2. They got some players around there.
They sure do. But if Pickett pans out to what they think he could be, and if he's turned out as a stud, and they'll have one of the best drafts because they'll be getting the most important position. And it seems like the Steelers every year have a new receiver that pops up and is automatically the best receiver. So will this be Pickens this year? We'll see.
They
But
love to switch receivers
they love doing that.
every year.
Moving on to your Seahawks here. I'll just let you take it away since this is your team.
Yeah, this is my team. I do like I like Charles Cross at number 9 as someone that fell to us, and can't complain about the top offensive tackle.
Hmm.
Some people's two. I don't think many people had him as a one, if anyone. But yeah, two or three offensive tackle and a pretty good tackle draft at the top. Yeah, you'll
Hmm.
take that. Mafe, someone that's really quick, twitchy
Hmm.
DN.
I like that.
He's someone that I also do like taking a shot
Hmm.
at the beginning of the second round. Kenneth Walker. I'm assuming the Seahawks are taking him just due to the fact that Chris Carson could be already done with football. He's just a super injury prone running back. He was good, and it just we don't know how much football he has left in him. Rashad Penny showed a lot at the end of last year. He showed he could be really good potentially. So you could pair up Kenneth Walker and Rashad Penny, and that could be a really good running back tandem. Potentially get the best running back in the draft right there. So can't
Hmm.
really hate on that. Abraham Lucas is someone that may have fell a little bit. Good offensive tackle, ready to start day one. So yeah,
Love that.
don't hate that either. Kobe Bryant,
Goat.
he
Mamba.
he won the Thorpe. So
Hell yeah, he did.
yeah, I mean he may not necessarily have the most potential. He should be a good player right out the gate though. Someone with a lot of potential with a dog mentality. Or not, I didn't mean with a lot of potential
Hmm.
necessarily, but he has a dog mentality and he was just really good in college. So
Right.
can't really hate on that. It's someone I'm willing to take a shot on, especially speaking of taking a shot on someone, Tariq Woolen, the
Hmm.
I believe 2-year cornerback from UTSA, just an absolute freak show, 4.26 at 6'4". believe the fastest cornerback in NFL draft combine history. So
That sounds about
yeah,
right.
that's a prototypical Seahawks pick there, a freak tall corner that could turn into something. That's what Richard Sherman actually was. He was a receiver that turned into a corner that the Seahawks took a shot on in the
Mm.
fourth round, or was it? I believe the fourth round. It was a round.
So it was around. It was one of those top rounds.
It was a round. They took a shot on him. He
Hmm.
turned out obviously pretty solid, you could say.
Great Niner.
Hopefully Tariq Woolen can do it
Hmm.
too. And just to finish out, Tyreek Smith, player that fell a bit too. Someone that could be solid for them. Bo Milton. Uh, I can't remember what draft analyst had him ranked super high. There was somebody that really liked Bo Milton in the draft community.
Hmm.
Like had him like one of their top receivers. So
Jesus. Okay.
yeah, he's fast.
Burners.
He's someone that has a bit of potential on him. So I don't hate taking him as a seventh round pick at all. And I don't know too much about Derek Young yet. Someone I
Okay.
need to look into. So
So,
yeah, I like the overall. I like the Seahawks draft quite a bit. If you have any thoughts on it, feel free.
well, they
Take
draft a
the
running
floor.
back. They love running backs. That's Pete Carroll's whole thing. Pound the football, pound the football. Now they don't have Russell to pass it, so they're gonna go all in on the run. They finally draft off offensive lineman once Russell's gone out of town. That's great. Love seeing that. I think they're just gonna run the ball because I mean they have Drew Lock, they have Geno Smith. That's horseshit. So they're not gonna be doing a whole lot of passing. I would assume to be the most run-heavy team in the league. I'm gonna make that prediction right here on May 2nd, 2022. That's my bold prediction. That's not too bold, but yeah, I mean, good draft. Not much else to say. We'll see how they do next year in a probable tanking year, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, moving on to my good old San Francisco 49ers.
Real quick, bring Bryce Young to Seattle. Oh, I'm sorry. I
No, I mean that'd be great. I mean, just
had
go
to
0
blurt that out.
17 and you'll be on your way.
Would love to get a top QB from next year, though. All right,
Of
your
course.
49ers,
My
what's your thoughts?
49ers. Okay, so we didn't have a first round pick, obviously. Trey Lance kind of ruined that for us, but if he's a stud, that's okay. We get Drake Jackson, who at one time was a projected first rounder, fell for reasons I'm not too sure about, fell all the way down to like the bottom of the second round, and we got him. I like it a lot. I mean, he's going to be coming off the line an absolute dog. He's got the dog mentality. The Niners love drafting dudes with the dog mentality. So he's a big unit. He's going to get around the edge. He's not gonna stop. He's a pit bull. He's a pit bull on the line, and we need that. So I like that pick. You got a USC, my college team too, so that's great fit. We get another running back for the committee because we get our one yearly running back for our running back committee. He's an absolute dog. They're all dogs. Tyrion Davis Price. I would be lying if I told you I've watched a look at this dude play football. But as long as he's a dog and brings that mentality to my offense, I don't give a shit. Same with Danny Gray, a speedster. We need that. We really only have Ayuk and Debo, and who knows if we even have Debo. So if he leaves or gets traded, doesn't play, we're gonna need more receivers. So I like that pick. And then we get to some of the boring shit. We needed offensive linemen. We needed guards. We needed a lot. So we got Buford. I don't know. Hopefully he's good. We needed that. Womack. Our corners last year were horrific. The most penalized. They just gave up the most yards. They were shit. Until it came towards the end of the year, they actually started to play a little bit better football, but that's not too consistent. So Womack, I like it. We'll see. I don't know who Nick Zake, whatever the fuck, another offensive lineman. Hopefully he's good. I don't know. And then another defensive tackle because we love those, and another quarterback, and then we got Mr. Relevant, which is the only thing that matters in this draft. A quarterback with my first name that I don't know why we got, but he'll be a great four stringer and a great fucking XFL stallion in about 2 years. So that's what I think about the 49ers.
Yeah, the Niners had some solid picks and some really weird picks
Indeed.
from my point of view here. Tyrion Davis Price
A dog.
was just a weird.
He's a dog.
Like, yeah, I think most people did not think he was. Like, we'll just put it this way. I read a draft thing, like grading the drafts, pretty recently, and the way they described that pick was that pick had me squinting my eyes at my computer,
Mm,
trying to figure out what happened there.
right. Well,
And they also described the Danny Gray pick in a similar fashion. But a lot of people do like the Drake Jackson, the end of the second round. It's a solid pick, and also I think a lot of people I think that Tariq Castro Fields all the way down in the sixth round was a potential steal, someone that could be good,
Love
and
that.
Cleo Davis. Those are two players that I've heard were people that fell that could be pretty solid. So,
I mean, yeah, the Niners, they
and why is
draft
Brock
dogs.
Purdy getting drafted? That's a good
Who
question.
knows? No one knows. But he's Mr. Relevant. He's going to Disneyland for a week. Good for him. But yeah, we always need at least six running backs on our team every year. So that's going to be about our fourth or third guy. We know why would we take him in the third round? Who knows? But that's what we decided to do. So I'm going to ride with it. Danny Gray. Was he the most talented receiver left on the board? Probably not. But he's a dog. So I mean, that's all we need is a few dogs that'll get
Is he a
physical
dog
and
though,
rough
or are
him
you
up.
just calling
No,
him a
he's a
dog?
dog.
I mean,
He's a dog. That one I'm sure is a dog.
okay,
Price,
all
I'm not
right.
sure if he's a dog, but Danny Gray is a dog. He's a 5'9", 5'11" dog. I don't know which one of those heights he is, but he's one of those heights and he's a fucking dog.
He's a height and he's a dog. All
And he's a
right, I got it.
Mustang. All right, moving on to the Bucks. They got Logan Hall in the beginning of the second round, a nice defensive end. They needed that. Needed to secure that side of the ball up. Rashad White. They got Zion McCollum, who I kind of wanted as a cornerback in those kind of rounds, but they took him, so that's okay. But I mean, I don't know a lot about these guys. Is there anything in here that uh, interests your fancy?
Not particularly. I just
Okay.
Zion Collins was someone that I would understand why he wanted him. He was someone that a lot of people thought fell way too far.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Logan Hall, solid pick. The other
Right.
players I'm not the most familiar with. Probably should be more familiar with Rashad White, considering I do watch Pac-12 football,
It's okay.
but
We can't know them
can't
all.
really remember what he was doing.
It's okay. I mean, I
And
do like Luke Godiki's
I
name.
believe Cade Auden is from Oregon and went
Okay.
to Washington and was
Interesting.
a tight end there. So yeah, about all I got in this draft.
Yeah, that's all I got too. It's the Bucks. They'll be good. They don't really need any of these young dudes to be stars, but I mean, we'll see. Titans had a big day. They trade their best receiver because they didn't want to pay him money, which the Eagles did immediately. And then they draft his replacement, who had the same comparison to AJ Brown, Treylon Burks. Will he be AJ Brown? Only time will tell. But other than that, they get Malik Willis, of course, in the third round. I bet he was my QB1. I think he has the most potential out of all the quarterbacks, which isn't saying a lot because they're all shit to me. They're not all shit, but they're just it's not the greatest year of quarterbacks, but
It'll
he
be
has
the
some
best QB
potential.
class that we've ever seen.
Right. So he'll probably replace Tannehill, who sucks. And if he's anything like he could be, then they're in business. They get Hassan Haskins as a backup to Derrick Henry. And other than that, I don't know a lot. So anything else on here for these boys?
Yeah, I like taking Malik Willis at that range. It's really good value. He'll sit a couple years behind Tannehill,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they'll clean him up, get him ready to go, and he could be good. Traylon Burks, a lot of people liked quite a bit. Just a good like receiver, sure hands. He'll get that football.
Mm-hmm.
Roger McCreary is just a good corner. Um,
Stud.
can't hate that.
Can't hate it. Can't hate a
I
good
like
corner.
those three picks. The others, don't know a whole lot about. Um, I mean Hassan Haskins. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know where he was supposed to go necessarily, but he's just, he
Just another
was
running
at
back.
Michigan last year and he was all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all for this team, but I do for my name game that I'm playing here. Look out for Chigoziem Okonkwo, a tight end out of Maryland. If he's something one day, remember that. That's a good name. I like the name a lot.
Definitely a name to worry
That's a
about.
name. Okay, moving on to our last team here. We have the Washington Commanders, not the football team. They get Jahan Dotson in the first round to pair up with McLaurin, who's been begging for help because he's doing it on a one-man island. They get back-to-back Bama boys, a DT something Mathis and Brian Robinson Jr. And other than that, they get Chris Paul, the Phoenix Suns point guard,
No, and I don't know if he said it to Sam Howell too.
and
And
Sam Howell, who
yeah,
can't be
take
much
a
worse
take a
than
shot on
Wentz.
Sam Howell. So
Yeah,
yeah, I like that. Joan
it's good.
Dotson,
That's a good pool.
maybe a little high, but he's could be good.
Could
He
be.
has potential. I like Mathis and Brian Robinson, he's from Bama, so there's always a good shot that he could turn into something. Probably a little high for him too, but
I don't
overall.
know.
They took some players that have some potential, and they ran with it.
It's an alright draft. I think they got worse by trading AJ Brown. Obviously, I think they're taking a step back doing that, but we'll see.
Wait, what?
This is not the Titans,
Yeah,
but I'm still on the
Titans.
Titans because it
Yeah,
still pisses me off. But this team,
trading AJ Brown was
yeah, whatever.
interesting.
Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, with Wentz throwing the football around. Good luck. All right. Moving on to our best and worst drafts. I'll go first here. I'll go first. My best draft is the Baltimore Ravens. The rich get richer is the title for this. Kyle Hamilton, an absolute stud, was one of my best players in the draft. He doesn't have to do a lot. He's going to be playing on a stacked defense. He's big, tall, lengthy, a unit. Didn't have the greatest combine, I don't think. I think he ran like a pretty slow 40, but it's okay. That's the 40 shit is blown out of proportion anyways. You know what's up with the damn game speed? What can you do when it's game time? Okay, that's the speed that fucking matters. And I believe he's going to deliver. Linderbaum, best center, another steal, I guess. I mean, I don't know. He went kind of late because center isn't the most valued position out there in the world, but an absolute steal. Ajobo, he's not going to play probably, but when he comes back, he could be an absolute unit. Jones on the D line, an absolute unit. And then what else did we got down here? Isaiah Likely, a couple tight ends that could be behind Andrews, who are catchers or run blockers. I love it. I love the draft. I think they knocked it out of the park, along with the Daniel guy, who's another freak show. He's like the fattest person who's ever been played in the league. He's like 6'8". Can't hate that. And they got a punter. I mean, what they got everywhere. Everything they could have got, they got. So I liked it a lot. But yeah, that's my best draft. Going on to my worst draft, not a shocker. The Patriots. They get Cole Strange, who they could have got in like the 7th round to pick Mr. Relevant. Um, they got him in the 1st round out of Chattanooga. He has a cool helmet, so he's got that going for him. But they couldn't. They definitely could have got him, or even they got maybe Marcus Jones or Tyquan Thornton. And even Tyquan Thornton they could have got later on too. So every
Well,
single person that they could have got later, but they got him
yeah.
earlier, which is shocking. And then they got the quarterback White Boy, breaks records. Why they need another quarterback to sit behind Mac Jones?
Yeah, she's in my room.
I have no idea. So yeah, just interesting. They got Pierre Strong Jr. I'm not sure who that is. A D2 running back. I mean, you know, I'm never gonna doubt Bill because if there's one thing I've learned in
Okay.
life, it's that
Uh,
I don't doubt Bill. That's the last thing I'll do in my life is doubt Bill Belichick. But yeah, that's my worst draft. Just could have been better, could have been
what I'm
worse.
looking for.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's my thoughts.
And then what day? The second. I say
Hmm.
nothing until the 6th.
Okay, so there's that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit a double mute there because my cohort is talking on the phone and didn't mute his mic. But that's okay. We move on in life. I'll just sit here and talk for a couple minutes while he sorts out that little schedule or conflict or phone call he's having. So while he does that, my best draft obviously was the Ravens. I mean, how could you disagree? I mean, unless you're a Steelers fan, a Browns fan, maybe you're even a Bengals fan. I mean, you could hate this because the rich got richer and they're probably going to win the division next year and return to prominence in the AFC North. Nailed it. And then, yeah, I mean, I love it. The worst draft, though, the Patriots. They suck. But yeah, let's unmute here and take a listen to Ball or Kyle, see what he's doing.
Paul, someone that could be really good. Were you able to get all that? Well, you had some technical difficulty there too, or
Oh no, I was just because I heard you were on a business call because we're making a lot of moves in the world. So I muted so you could continue your business call. I went over what I was going over.
okay? So was like what I was doing there still like was I good? Like, can
Um,
I continue or
before I just started talking, no one heard a damn thing you said. So if you
okay?
want to
All right.
restart,
Well, yeah.
that's okay.
Okay. So,
Okay.
my team here that I think had the best draft
Okay.
is maybe not the best draft, just one of the better drafts. Okay,
Mhm.
the New York Jets. Sauce Gardner, love it. Garrett Wilson, love it. Jermaine Johnson, love it.
Love
Brees
it.
Hall, love
Love it.
it. Jeremy
Love it.
Rucker,
Max
don't love
Mitchell.
it necessarily, but I
Okay.
like it.
Okay. Okay.
Dax
Definitely
Mitchell,
love it.
love it.
Mm-hmm. Michael
Michael
Clemens.
Clemens, he's cool.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, Sauce Gardner, I like the combination of what they're working with corners over there now.
Mm-hmm.
Adding him to what they got. I mean, it's just I like that. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like getting a top corner. I
Of
like
course.
Garrett Wilson could be definitely a number one for them. Just
Hopefully.
add to that. Maybe make a good receiving core over there. Tremaine Johnson give them some edge help, which
Mm-hmm.
they got quite the D line, but just adding him to the rotation definitely not gonna hurt. And he's someone that fell a lot. That's great value. Someone that could have potentially been a top 10 pick.
Yeah. The Jets killed him.
And Brees Hall once again also, like I said earlier, I think
Mm-hmm.
could be a great running back tandem with Michael Carter, potentially the best running back in the draft. He's definitely top two, him or Kenneth Walker. So you can never really hate when your team takes a top two skilled position player, even if they don't have the longest lifespan at the position.
Right.
The rest are cool.
Okay. So we're gonna move on now to your worst draft. You picked the Dallas Cowboys. Can you give us an example of why this sucks so much, please?
I just wasn't a big fan of what the Cowboys were doing necessarily. Tyler Smith, questionable player. Like he has the potential to be really good, but it's just a boomer bust guy that could also not be good. I mean, he's someone that probably shouldn't even start for them at the beginning of the year, which kind of is weird. I figured they would take somebody that they could start right away, being the team they like want to be. They
Mm-hmm.
probably want to win the Super Bowl,
You'd hope so.
and taking a potential project is a little odd. Sam Williams is someone that is pretty good football player, but some definite off the field potential issues and character
Mm.
questions and just the whole thing there. Someone that probably was a first round talent, but fell just due to just a questionable human. So
Right.
yeah, I mean you don't really know if he's gonna cause an issue before he gets a chance to play or if he's gonna play and be good for you. So don't
Right.
know how to feel about that one. Good player, so could be good. And then just the rest of their draft, just a lot of boomer bust guys. Could be good, could not be. Uh, yeah, I mean, I just feel like they maybe went the wrong direction with the team they had. Probably want to take a few more solidified guys that could help them right now, fill some of their needs.
Agreed.
Uh, I do think you want to take some boomer bust guys because you just want that potential. Someone like some players like really stepping up and being good for your team, but. Yeah, I mean they want to be a contender, so I just think they went the wrong direction.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some players in here that if they bust or boom, they could be really good. If they bust, I mean, this draft will look really shitty in a few
I
years'
did
time.
secure a few big time deals on
I
my
heard.
business call, I
I
will
heard.
say.
I can't wait to
So
discuss that later on. I mean,
yeah, no,
it's
that
big
that's
deals,
definitely something we could probably
big
touch on.
sponsors,
So yeah,
big things
I
coming.
big time.
All right, we're gonna close this NFL port or episode out with the two trades that happened on Thursday. The first that isn't as big was the Cardinals trading
Still large though.
for Hollywood. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I know Hollywood didn't want to be there because he's not. I mean, that's not like their offense is not really getting Hollywood a lot with like yards and targets, but he also had a lot of drops, which is on him and no one else. And he wants to get paid, and I think this is his paid year. So he kind of wanted to go somewhere he's going to get the ball more and more targets, but he's also into a stacked offense that has D Hop, Rondell, AJ Green, and I mean tied like a couple good tight ends now. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about Hollywood getting traded to the good old Cardinals here?
It's it's interesting. Um, I apparently Marcus Brown may have requested a trade.
Yeah, he did a few
Yeah,
times.
okay. Well, yeah, no, I was just reading something earlier that said that it was like a quiet like request, like he kind of just it was a sly thing. He did what he did.
Right.
I don't think they got necessarily bad value from, but they need receivers and kind of sucks for them having to trade him. Lamar Jackson also wasn't the happiest about the whole thing.
Not happy at all.
Yeah,
Many F
so
bombs.
yeah, it's just. not the best position for the Ravens to be in. Probably not the best team for Hollywood to go to either. I mean, they will sling the rock over there, but there's just a lot of targets, so it's kind of hard
Yeah,
to just split them.
I
So
don't
yeah,
know.
just I don't know about it. The whole thing really. It's not the best for the Ravens. I guess another weapon for the Cardinals. So
Yeah, that's all this really
yeah,
is another weapon for the Cardinals. I mean, I don't really think it was a tremendously good trade for either side. I just think it was.
yeah. I mean, I don't. I once again, I don't think it was worth them trading the number 23 pick. I mean, Hollywood's good. Like he's definitely a really solid receiver, but it's just not something they need super bad. Whereas the 23rd pick could have been used to fill a more glaring hole in receiver.
I mean, they just lost Chandler Jones. I mean, they could have got a really good. They could even got Jermaine Johnson at 23. They could have. I mean,
They could have got some a corner. I mean, yeah, they could have.
I think they could have done more than get another receiver to an already pretty decent receiving core. But I mean, who knows? So they get Hollywood. We'll see what he can do. Now the Ravens are pretty damn slim at receiver. It's like Rashad Bateman and a couple other dudes that I can't think of currently, but it's not the greatest group of individuals left in Baltimore. But we'll see what they can do. I mean, seeing as they don't really pass the ball too often to the receivers anyway, it's more of a Mark Andrews and run the ball show. But we'll see how that affects
Yeah, I
them.
do like Rashad Bateman, so maybe he steps up for them. So
Yeah, we'll
yeah.
see. Hopefully, moving on to the big trade that happened. The Titans decided that they don't want to pay AJ Brown next year, so they shipped his ass off. They drafted his replacement, and the Eagles instantly gave him a contract, 4 years, 100 mil for 57 million guaranteed. I mean, I like this more for the Eagles than I do for the Titans. I mean, I don't know if you agree, but
I do agree. Also, it did come out. AJ Brown, I believe, said I don't know if this is 100% true. If he was just saying this to kind of rub salt in the room, but or in the wound. I don't. I said in the room,
yeah,
I think,
it's
but
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
I believe he said he would have took 22.5 mil a year or something, or 22 mil a year
yeah.
from the Titans. He wanted to play there. He wanted to be there.
And if you're
Which,
the
if that's
Titans,
the
why don't you
case,
do that? I mean, it's
that's not a bad deal. I mean, AJ
no.
Brown's really talented. He's just a really good receiver. I mean, 25 mil. I mean, it's a lot of money and it's a receiver. I get it, but he's really like I feel like he's someone the Titans just shouldn't have let go of. I mean, I don't really like it.
Yeah, I don't understand it, especially if they were only gonna have to pay him 3 mil. What, 22 mil? I mean, that's
Yeah, 22.5 mil or
22 and a
so.
half. I mean, that's very. I mean, that's not bad for. I mean, what did Kirk get? He got like 4 years, 20 mil, and I mean, he's nowhere near as good as AJ Brown. I'm sorry, Christian Kirk, but I mean, it's just the case. And I mean, they now I think the Eagles with
Yeah.
that trade are actually like a contender in the East with the Cowboys. I think
Yeah, and I
it's
like
insane.
yeah, I do like who the Titans picked. Like I like Traylon Burks, and he has a similar mold to AJ Brown, but he's just not AJ Brown. And I mean, yeah, it's gonna be the team's gonna be worse. I mean, Traylon Burks isn't gonna be certainly not gonna be AJ Brown in 1 year, you would assume.
Hmm.
But he's a good guy. He's a good receiver. It's just it's gonna get to a point where you're gonna have to pay him too. Like I mean, I don't really get the thought process behind it. I mean,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
gonna have to pay one of
I
these
wouldn't have done
receivers.
it.
Yeah, now it's Robert Woods, Traylon Burks with a pretty mid quarterback. I think the Titans actually are taking a pretty decent step back this year. I don't see them. I mean, I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs. If I'm being honest. I don't even know if they're a playoff team for me currently. I'd have to look at the rest of the AFC, but I don't think they're a really great team currently with what they've done. I mean, maybe Traylon
Mm.
Burks will develop into some absolute rock star and we'll all look like an idiot, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely they take a step back, but at the end of the day, they got Derrick Henry. Robert Woods is all right. I mean, I don't hate what they've done, so I think they could
Yeah.
still. It's tough in the AFC because there's so many good AFC West teams. There's a few teams out there that could definitely make the playoffs, so it's a little weird, but I still like the Titans as a team. But yeah, no, I mean AJ Brown is great, so it's never gonna help losing him.
Yeah, but with that, ending out our NFL show today, that's going to do it for us. A nice little hour and 15 long looking episode. Is there anything else we need to go over, Kyle? Is that about it? Are we done here?
Yeah, no, I think we kind of hit
Okay.
most of the draft stuff. Talked about it. wasn't our quaintest episode necessarily, but
It's getting
we
better.
talked about most of the teams, and I didn't hate
Hmm.
it. So
Well,
yeah,
that's good. I'm glad you didn't hate it. I didn't hate it either. We're moving. We're moving. We're just moving. All right. Well, next week we'll see you back here discussing what else could go on in the NFL world, which never stops moving. But other than that, I've been Brock. You've been
Kyle.
nice. Good shit. And we'll
Yep,
see you next
I
week. So
you
long.
lobbed me one there.